So here we go. Mickelson and the USGA is the topic of the moment. Frank joins us. What's up, Frank?
Welcome back, Mike.
Thank you. What's up?
Good to hear you again.
What's up?
I'm a spectator. I'm not a professional athlete, and it was refreshing to me that these guys are struggling with par. Like, who cares about the conditions? They all got to play on the same course. I think a couple of weeks before that, some guy won. He was like 19 under par.
Not true. Yesterday, they didn't allow for the win because guys who played at the right time got a 10-stroke advantage on Saturday. The guys who were off the course early, like Berger and Finau, who went from 45th place to first place by shooting 66s, had an advantage of maybe 10 strokes because of what happened with the wind that afternoon. And because they had not taken the wind into account, wind that they had acknowledged they thought was going to blow, expected to blow that day, they took a chance. They put some very, very, very tough pin placements in place. And the idea of golf is to not penalize good shots. And that's what it got to the point where you were hitting good shots and being penalized. When that happens, golf's not golf anymore. And you saw that on Saturday afternoon. I mean, those guys couldn't even keep the ball on the green on Saturday afternoon. That's how bad it got. It got to that point. That wasn't, at one point, I wasn't even golf anymore. As you heard Curtis Strange come off, he was the first guy to say it and said, they've lost the course. The idea is not to lose the course. Dave and Selden, what's up, Dave?
Hey, Mike, what's happening?
What's happening?
I tuned in Sunday morning, so I was so curious about the reaction to Phil. There's some guy from England, one of the commentators, I don't know, I don't watch Fox. Well, they don't have a lot of golf on Fox. First thing comes out and says, Phil Mickelson is an ass. Going on, and for 10 minutes, I'm like, hold on a second. How much currency has Phil built up over the years as far as weight? I've seen him with my own eyes, Doc, signing autographs, doing this for kids. Very generous to the attendants. I have a friend of mine who worked at Best Page. He breaks a guy's watch around.
Listen, he was wrong with what he did.
But Mike, it's not the end of the world.
And this idea that he needed to be disqualified and reprimanded, and for what? For what? He took a 2-stroke penalty. So what? There's a rule in the book for doing what he did. He did it clearly. Do I believe he did it as something he was thinking about as a strategy? I don't believe that for a second. Do I think he did it out of frustration? Yes, he got mad. Went and smacked the ball. It's in the rule book. 2 strokes. He didn't take the ball and hit it into the next fairway. Would he have done that if he were in contention? Absolutely not. Would he have done that if he were at Augusta? Absolutely not. Was he also frustrated with the USGA? Yes, he was. He clearly was. But he was all frustrated with what had gone on there that day. And it got the better of him. He made a mistake. Do I think it was something he was happy he did? No. But you know what? One like he threw a club and hit a kid in the head with it, or something like that, where there'd be serious repercussions. And if he were in contention, I think you would have to say he impacted the event, impacted the competition, and there would have to be repercussions. I would agree with that. He was 100 shots out of it. Who the heck cared? The idea that golf was somehow damaged, that his career was damaged by that? Give me a break. Stephen Boundbrook, what's up, Steve?
How's it going, Mike?
Good.
Mike, I totally agree with you regarding Phil. Bart Scott actually.
Listen, I don't want to hear about other guys. Listen. Talk about. Listen. Tell somebody else. I don't care what somebody else does on another show. This is this show. I don't care what other guys do. Take it up with them. Either give me your opinion or talk about mine. I don't care what somebody else said. Okay, I don't do that. I don't care. I have no interest. Zero. Don't care what somebody else said about somebody else. Mario in Queens, what's up, Mario?
Yes, anyway, I think Phil, what he should have done is to please everyone. After he's done, he could have just easily have said, you know what, I got frustrated, I made a big mistake, and I'm going to pull myself out of the event.
Why should he do that?
Why? Because they look ridiculous.
Well, wait a second. Why did what did he get a penalty for what he did?
Yeah, but nobody does that.
So what?
For 30 years.
So what?
Like that.
Is it in the rule book?
So what? All kids now all over the world are going to do it.
Oh, really? Well, then you know what? The problem is they're going to get 2-stroke penalties when they do it.
Nah, they got to change the whole rule just because of that big mistake.
When Bobby Jones threw a club and hit a woman in the leg with it, which was worse?
Can't compare that.
Why not? Which was worse?
You're making one big mistake he made.
Which was worse? I know which one I think is worse. Which he said he never did again. Ever. Robin Livingston, what's up, Rob?
Hey, Mike. I agree 100% with everything you said. My only issue with Phil is the lame excuse that he came with.
Listen, he did. He had a couple hours to think about it. And listen, we all know, and I only know Phil. I know Phil to say hello to. I've sat with him at a couple of events. I like him a lot. I've always been a big fan of his golf. I don't know him. I'm not going to tell you we're friends. We're not friends. I know him to say hello to, and I've been at a couple of events with him. I have
one more thing for you.
But let me say this. I think, and everyone will tell you who knows him, Phil likes to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
I think he came up, by the time he finished with what he did, I don't think for 1 second he was saying, oh, wait, if I do this, this is how I'm going to play this hole. I don't think for 1 second. I think he
I agree with that.
I think he came up with that after he thought about it for a while the rest of the round. That's all.
He just should have said, you know what?
I did it in frustration, move on. That's all.
Right.
But you know what? He didn't do that, but it still doesn't change that he was penalized. There should be no more action taken. There's nothing else that has to happen there. Pull yourself out of the tournament for the good of golf. Why? How was golf impacted that he played yesterday? Somebody explain to me how the U.S. Open was hurt by him playing yesterday. The answer was it wasn't at all. He wasn't in competition anyway. What you can do is get on Fox for only showing Tiger and Phil whenever they're on the course. You can do that because that's all they do. That's all they know. Steve in Flushing. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, these fans calling up, getting outraged is just ridiculous. The fact that Phil Mickelson even had to apologize at all is just a joke. And say Phil Mickelson had a 5-stroke lead and purposely did what he did, it's still not wrong. Because of the fact that, hypothetically, the ball, say, could have rolled 500 feet downhill and it would take
listen, if he's in contention, I'd have more of a problem with it because it would really sully the competition. He was 17 strokes over par.
Mike, it's no different than an intentional foul in basketball. It's part of strategy.
Oh, it wasn't strategy. Come on now. We both know it wasn't strategy.
But it can be used as a strategy.
It's not a strategy. He would be better off taking an unplayable than he would be to do that. I mean, it would make more sense to take an unplayable than to do what he did. It was a bad strategy even if he took a strategy. So the point is, I don't buy that it was a strategy, but it was temper. So what? He got a 2-stroke penalty. We move on. How is golf hurt by that? Andrew in Port Jefferson. What's up, Andrew?
Mike, thanks for taking my call.
Yes.
This Phil thing is so overblown, it's ridiculous. But I got a point about the Mets. If the Mets...
No. Later. We'll get to the Mets. We're still doing the golf. Mike in Montclair. What's up, Mike?
He's disgraceful. When he threatened to boycott playing in tournaments in California because of his tax rate, he was disgraceful.
That has nothing to do with yesterday.
Okay, wait a second. When he
tell me about this event. Tell me about this event. No, Mike, none of that has to do with anything that went on. Tell me about what went on here.
Publicly, he was disgraceful.
Again, he got the entire way they run the Ryder Cup changed because of that.
So he could have done that behind.
Okay, I didn't say he's perfect, Mike. But what is that? You haven't yet gotten to this event.
What he did yesterday was disgraceful.
Explain to me how.
Was disgraceful.
Explain to me how.
He's the only player that did that.
Let me explain. Explain to me how that is disgraceful.
Because it is sullying the game.
How does he do that?
Because he's supposed to be one of the stewards of the game because of the status.
So he's not. Wait, when Tiger Woods slams down his club and curses a blue streak, is that good for the sport?
No, it's not. Okay,
well, he
but we're
was
not
never
talking about
once.
Tiger
He
Woods.
was never once
We're not talking about the
reprimanded.
guy that gets
But wait a
beat down all
second.
the time.
Wait a second. Put it in perspective. How did he hurt the game of golf?
It's not that he hurt the game of the golf.
Bingo.
You know
Thank you. You answered the question. It's not that he hurt the game of golf. You don't like Phil Mickelson, which is fine. You don't have to like Phil Mickelson. But you just answered it perfectly. It's not that he hurt the game of golf. He didn't. You don't like Phil Mickelson? Go on not liking Phil Mickelson. Bring up everything he's ever done wrong. So be it. God bless you. You don't have to like, not everybody's going to like Phil Mickelson. I don't ask you to like Phil Mickelson. But don't tell me that he somehow brought golf to its knees with his action. He didn't impact that tournament 1 minute. Except he got attention, which he always gets. Joe in Wanto. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, what's happening?
I don't know. I agree wholeheartedly with you. I mean, this whole Sinnock thing is overblown. The guy, he took a 2-stroke penalty. He got frustrated. It's a game of golf. We all get frustrated. He's 17 over par, like you said. What's the big deal? I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. It's just overblown. He's one of the best golfers of all time. When I first saw it, I laughed it off. And if it was any other golfer, you would laugh it off too.
Listen, it was a strange thing. I never thought I would see that. I admit that. I never expected to see anybody do that. That was bizarre. I didn't even remember that John Daly did it. I mean, I know people showed the video of John Daly doing it. I don't even remember John Daly doing it, to be honest with you. I've never seen anybody do it. It's rather bizarre, but they even have a rule for it. They have a rule specifically in the book. And I couldn't buy these guys on the Golf Channel Saturday night. Oh, he's got to be disqualified. Why? What did he do that was disqualifying? He got a 2-stroke penalty. He did something he shouldn't have done. No question he shouldn't have done it, but he did it out of anger. There's no question what he did. There's no, listen, he came up with a weird answer. Okay, you want to like his answer? That's fine. You can make a big deal about his answer if you want. But I don't see how. Phil, take yourself out of the tournament for the good of golf. Well, come on now. First of all, he wasn't in the tournament by Sunday. It was an afterthought. If he had taken himself out with a bad back, who would have been the difference? Or anybody DQing themselves when they're 18 over? John in Dumont. What's up, John?
Oh, Mike, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
Okay. The thing I want to say is the guy was a little bit frustrated, obviously. And he was really upset with the course conditions. And that was about it. But the one thing I really want to point out is at this point, the USGA, what are they going to do with that commercial with Phil underneath the trees and telling everybody not to kick the ball and doing this and that? You know the commercial he has where you got to play by the rules of golf and etiquette and all that?
Well, I think he did play. Listen, I think he does play by the rules of golf 99.9% of the time. He made a mistake.
Yeah, no, but I just think it's funny that, at this point, it's like, all right, there he was taking advantage.
He made a mistake.
Listen,
he didn't take advantage of any rules. We both know that, okay? He didn't do that out of strategy. He can say he did. He didn't. He did it out of frustration. We all know that. I mean, he even said it wasn't his best moment on Saturday night. I mean, listen, I'm sure he wasn't proud of himself, but he went there and said, hey, I've always wanted to do this. This is how I decided to play the hole. I don't believe that for a second. No. Do I believe that? I do not. It doesn't matter. It was a 2-stroke penalty. He got his 2-stroke penalty. We move on. He didn't affect any other golfer. He didn't hit any other golfer. I'd have more trouble with somebody we caught cheating out there than with what he did. If I had somebody moving his ball or somebody trying to cheat, I would have more trouble with that than I did what Phil did. Bob in Summit, what's up, Bob?
I took it more as a disappointment. I got to be honest with you. I just turned on the radio, so I haven't really heard what your callers have been saying. Obviously, this is day one since this happened. But a buddy of mine who listens to you and knows that I call in a lot just hit me with this, and I said I'd call. And he's right. You're at a 2-day member guest, Mike, and you find out you lost by a shot, and you find out that the guy who won the member guest did that What's your reaction?
It's
in
a
the bar?
very different concept.
Nah,
First of all,
Mike,
I could care less, okay, if I want a member guest, okay? Let me be honest with you.
All right, well, the
okay?
average
Number
person
two, that's not, you just gave me a scenario which makes no sense here. This guy is, no, it doesn't. This is,
Mike,
listen,
let me
don't
finish?
talk to me about amateurs and playing club golf. You're talking about golf played at the highest level in the world,
Right, and
played
that's-
by one of the.
that's what makes it all the more
So
easier.
what? He had a moment. What's the big deal? How did he impact the sport? Well, how did he impact the tournament?
Mike, Phil carries himself.
How did he impact the tournament?
Not at all, but you want to let me finish?
Not at all. Thank you.
There is a way that we view these golfers, and we do put a guy like Phil on a pedestal, like when they were singing happy birthday to him at Blackpage 10 years ago.
Well, they cheered him. They cheered him.
Love him.
They loved him on
That's
Sunday.
more.
They loved him. They loved him on Sunday.
Mike, your serious golfer did not go, yeah, Phil, way to go on Saturday. They laughed at that move.
You
and
serious golfer. That's the problem. These guys who act like there's some kind of religious sect involved with golf. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Just like you're telling me now that people are complaining that Ian Poulter got yelled at or Ian Poulter had to deal with the crowd. So what? He had to deal with the crowd.
I'm just telling you, as a guy who loves golf and is a total hack 15 handicap,
right?
I look at Phil and say, that's disappointing.
So what? He was out of the tournament.
Doesn't matter.
What do you mean? Would you rather see that? Would you have more trouble with that or some guy you found out moved his ball?
It's not even a fair fight.
Why not?
Cheating. Because that's cheating.
And which is worse? Which is worse?
Of course cheating is worse.
Which would be worse? Would you have more problem with a guy who threw his club and hit a kid, or would you have more problem with this?
As a father of three, which kid? Mike, listen to me.
The bottom line is, again, all it is now he's not the same in your eyes. Well, then fine. That's your business. Okay? You held him up on some pedestal, and he's now not on the pedestal. This idea of serious golf is such baloney. It's a sport. Just like everything else is a sport. This idea about golfing is sanctimonious nonsense. It is nonsense. It's a competitive sport. That's what it is. And sometimes somebody in a crowd might heckle you. It's at the end of the earth. Oh, the New York crowd. Oh, you know what? Go back to a place where guys in the crowd have no pulse. If you're happy, go back and do that. You're not allowed. You're a professional athlete, and you can make millions of dollars. And if somebody says something, you're going to melt out there. Give me a break. Every other athlete in the world deals with it. And the idea, explain to me what Phil, who was out of the tournament by 1,000,000 miles, how did he ruin that tournament or impact golf? Come on. Sal in Brooklyn. What's up, Sal?
What's up, Mike? It sounds like golf's it's just like some type of cult.
That's what I listen. I like golf. I have great respect for guys who play it well. But this idea that somehow golf is some religious experience is a bunch of garbage.
The rule book does not say to throw them out. It says give them a two-stroke
Bingo.
penalty.
They abided by everybody likes the rule book except when the rule book doesn't do what you want it to do. The rule book said give them a 2-stroke penalty, and they did. Alex in Queens. What's up, Alex?
Mike, I think you're contradicting yourself, Mike.
How do you figure? Go ahead.
Because you're saying that, if it's worse if somebody touched the ball with the club. He did touch the ball with the club. He was moving and he touched it.
Yeah.
That's totally
Well, wait a second.
wrong.
That's a 2-stroke penalty.
You're right, but everybody knows you cannot touch the ball when it's in the middle of the road.
It's a 2-stroke.
It's a professional.
It's a 2-stroke penalty.
I expect me and my friends to do that.
It's a 2-stroke penalty. I'm not saying he should have done it, but it's in the rule book. It's a 2-stroke penalty. And he was penalized 2 strokes. Move on. Why does there have to be disqualifications or he somehow ruined the game of golf? Well, that's where people take golf to this level of it being ridiculous. Just like it should never have been allowed that some guy can sit on his couch in Dubuque and impact a tournament played 3,000 miles away. That should never have happened. Joe and Clark, what's up, Joe?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
What's happening?
Mike, here's the thing. I'm the biggest Phil fan, just like you. My problem is this, a little bit, is that, afterwards listening to Brandel Chambly, and, he brings up names like Hogan, Snead, Nicholas, even Woods. You would never see them do something like that, Mike. And, it's the problem.
Bobby Jones threw a club and hit a lady in the leg.
I know that. When he was like 19 years old, he never did it again. It changed his whole life. It changed his career. But here's my problem, Mike. He is held to a higher level, okay? It's like you and me. Let's say we're playing golf one day, Mike, together, and I started off bogey, and I said, Mike, you know what? Don't keep my score today. I don't feel like keeping score. You can't just, you
that's your business. That you can't use comparisons with you and me and them. But here's the thing. If you think that these people are perfect, they're not perfect.
I understand that, Mike, but this is Phil Mickelson.
So what? Now listen, and Joe, if you don't like him anymore, Joe, if you don't like him anymore because of that, you have every right. Don't like him anymore. That's all. If he ruined it for you, then don't root for him anymore. He had a moment. He got frustrated. He made a mistake. People are going to tell you that is going to impact his entire career. The fact that he was 15 or 16 over or whatever the heck he was at that moment, and he touched the golf ball when it was moving because it was going down a hill and he was sick of it going down a hill the rest of the day. He'd been going down a hill all day. And now that's going to impact his entire career, that everything he's done is out the window? Nick in Tom's River. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
Yeah, I don't get it. When John Daly did it, he walked off the course. I mean, Mickelson did it. He took his medicine.
He kept playing. And he went out there yesterday and he faced the music. He went out there and he played 18. And if anybody wanted at him, he was there.
Yeah, I don't get it. That's the rule. But what I want to ask you is this. On Saturday, I was basically bobbing and weaving on Barnegat Bay on my boat. What was it? It was a two-stroke, and he had to put the ball back.
Yes,
the original
2 strokes. Yes. Yeah, two-stroke penalty. There was no way to disqualify him. They even admitted, they said, we didn't have a mechanism to disqualify him for what he did. So he should have disqualified himself. Why? He took his 2-stroke penalty. He's out of the competition anyway. If he was tied for the lead and he did that, he needed his head examined. I tell you, then he lost his mind. He was out of this tournament by 100 miles. Scott in Manhattan. What's up, Scott?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
What's happening?
Just to kind of piggyback on this Phil stuff. I mean, I see what your point is, but I don't understand how you can be defending a guy that pulls a mini golf.
I'm not defending him. What I'm saying is it doesn't. How did it? What I'm defending is the action that happened, that he should have finished the tournament. I'm talking about the people who thought he should be disqualified or worse.
Yeah, but think about his response. How is that like a normal response? He should get a tag exemption for the response, let alone the move itself. How are you saying that's like he's using the rules to his benefit?
I don't believe. Listen,
thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right, and I don't think it was true. I don't think his answer. If I would have been there at the time, I would have said, Phil, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it.
Clearly.
I don't believe it.
Why does he not have a better answer, though?
Well,
why not just say you're human? Why not say I'm
because
human?
That's listen.
At a moment.
Hey, because it's hard to do that. It's hard sometimes in front of the public to admit mistakes. It is hard. It's hard. So you come up with some crazy answer. That's all. But we all know he did it in anger. We all know he did it. Come on, you know what he did. And if the penalty had been disqualification, then he would have been disqualified. It wasn't the penalty. The penalty said you hit a moving ball, you're disqualified. And then he would have been disqualified. It wasn't the penalty. Penalty was 2 strokes. Larry in Smithtown. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
Good. What I find funny about this whole Mickelson thing is this guy has been such a role model for most people. His behavior's been exceptional all these years, and no one's given him any credit for all the years of great behavior. And the people that are complaining about him breaking the rules today be the same people complaining if he did get up and leave the tournament, and they say he would be a coward. So that's the part that I find funny.
Hey, the guy stood out there. Did the guy go and hide afterwards? He went and stood in front of every member of the media in America and answered the questions, which you knew he would. And then he went out there on Sunday and faced the crowd. And then kind of made fun of the whole thing on Sunday and people were mad that he put his arms in the air when he made the one putt on 15. The next day, he was having some fun with it. What annoys the heck out of me, there are a lot of things about golf that I like. The thing I don't like is this idea that golf is somehow handed down from above and is this religious experience that is it's a sport. It is a competition played at its highest level among highly skilled individuals. It is a sport, nothing more. This idea, it's a game of golf. It's golf. It's different. It's golf. No, it's not. It's golf. It's another sport. That's what it is. Jason in Jersey. What's up, Jason?
Hey, Mike, I found it kind of refreshing that, someone would just show emotion, highly competitive person. Hey, you know what? When you're down that far and you're that frustrated, you're that competitive, and you just, he did go a little overboard, but it's not like the end of the world. It's when you play that game and you get that frustrated, sometimes, it's just natural. People don't want any emotion. They want perfection. You could ruin a whole game because you showed emotion.
Hey, I get mad at myself when I throw it. I get mad at myself when I throw a club. I mean, I threw a club the other day. I was in a trap, and I scolded out of the trap, and I threw my club out of the trap, and then I felt like an idiot because I threw my club out of the trap. Because I said, you know what? You shouldn't be throwing your clubs at this age. I really felt like that. But you know what? It got the best of me for a second. It happens. You know what? He got angry. He got frustrated. He made a mistake. I mean, I thought the reaction was ridiculous. Back after this.